Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 8 at Belmont Park on Saturday, an important prep for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Let's take a look at the field for the Grade 1 $500,000 Champagne at a one-turn mile at Belmont Park. It is a big field. It is wide open.
Yeah, this is a great race. You know, it's typical. It's your typical 2-year-old stakes race these days. Field of 12, 3 of them are maidens still. Only a couple of them have more than one win on the way in. But I can't wait for this race. It feels like there's a lot of potential and a lot of talent in this field.
Morning line favorite is a maiden. The number 6, Good Magic, is 7-2 on the morning line. He is the morning line favorite, unless I'm reading something wrong, and I believe I'm reading something right. Yeah. He is the morning line favorite. He cost $1 million as a Keeneland September yearling. He was all the rage in his career debut, going 6.5. When you looked at that pedigree, you got the feeling maybe 6.5 a little bit short for this horse. He took a shot at Todd Pletcher's Has It on the turn and was turned away. I think the fact that Chad is here, he still likes this horse. The race came back pretty fast, although for me, it was one of those slow, early, fast, late races.
The pace wasn't there. I mean, it was a short field. It scratched down to 5. This was the first race on Travers Day, I believe. It scratched down to a 5-horse field. I guess in that sense, Pletcher's horse Has It had all the best of it. He got to the front. He had the best speed, and they didn't go fast. On the other hand, this horse sort of sat right up there with him. I mean, he was wider, but he just sat right up on the pace with him, as you say. Took a shot, second best. Maybe the race did him some good. Maybe the added distance does him some good. Morning line favorite for this horse? No, thank you. I don't need him as the morning line favorite. I don't think he ran that great first time out. And also, I will just say, the horses that ran third and fourth race have already run back. They're not very good. I wonder how good that race actually is.
Now again, slow early, fast late. We look at the Timeform U.S. pace projector for the Champagne. We're expecting a fast pace up front. Good Magic's probably not going to get that same kind of trip. Has It, the 11's probably not going to get that same kind of trip. Yeah. They're going to have to do it a different way. And those two are the two morning line favorites. 7-2 Good Magic, 4-1 Has It. It's possible that the 9 Honorable Treasure, who Timeform U.S. has very close to this pace, might get a similar trip as he did last time out on August the 19th. I really liked the way he won. It was your typical Kenny McPeek surface switch, Lasix on with a 2-year-old. And Honorable Treasure, although he might have beaten a bunch of turf horses, although let me tell you something, that Esmosh came back to win very impressively at Churchill Downs. I just love the way he kept up to Esmosh, and then he just put him away in the stretch. I believe that 90 Beyer speed figure, and if he can deal with a little bit faster pace here, I got a legitimate contender.
I agree with all that stuff. I mean, he was really good. And you're right. It felt like they just gave him the race on turf first time out, just for that reason, just to give him a race. And then they switched to dirt. And I know it was a scheduled turf race. He was also eligible. He got in when the race came off the turf. He looked awful good winning the race. And you're right. The horse that he ran down in the Esmosh, he's a dirt horse, and he's a fast dirt horse. And this horse kept up with him and just buried him through the stretch. I loved his maiden win last time. I think he's a huge player right back in the Champagne.
And he's got a positive Kenny McPeek formulator fact over the past 3 years with 2-year-olds on dirt that just broke their maiden. First start against winners, he places them. 30% almost, $3.61 return on investment.
Don't you also just sort of love that McPeek left him in New York to run in the Champagne? Because, you know, McPeek's sort of based in Kentucky. They got the Grade 1 at Keeneland on the same day, going long around 2 turns. He left him here, and I think he left him here for a reason, to run in this one-turn race.
The 11 is Has It. We talked about him at the Open because he was able to get to the front and beat Good Magic. His horse has a really strong pedigree. By Warford, that damn Rumor was a pretty fast horse. This horse sold for a lot of money. Wire-to-wire winner, as we mentioned, always holding off Good Magic in the lane. Perhaps he's going to have to rate this time around. But he also has Todd Pletcher in his corner. And this Keeneland graduate has a positive formulator fact. Debut winning 2-year-olds, when they come back in their second start stretching out on dirt in graded races, 36%, a 247 ROI. I think they're going to be content, stalking on the outside, in the clear, away from traffic.
I think they might have to do that. I like this horse, and I liked his debut just fine. We already sort of touched on maybe the reasons that it's not as good as it looks. It was a short field. There wasn't really any pace in there. He actually went very slow to the half, and then he was able to hold on at the end. I still like him. I don't love that race overall, and if he and Good Magic are going to be the 2 favorites here, or 2 of the favorites, I just don't really want them. I mean, I suppose I would use them defensively in this race. I would never bet either one of them in here.
The East Coast-based 2-year-olds have, I think, been fairly maligned compared to their West Coast counterparts. It seems those West Coast 2-year-olds are better right now than the ones that we've seen in New York. Bahamian, the 7, is shipping away from Southern California. He is still a maiden, going to make his 3rd start, his first route appearance, but he's fast out of the gate, and he took on a very promising horse. I know you're a fan of that Soul Solomini.
I think that Solomini might be okay for Baffert. He ran really well in the
second in the front run.
He
87 buyer.
He ran really well in that race. I think that horse is okay. Listen, this horse ran fine in his last race. I think he went a legitimate pace up there. I like the way that he put away the pace rival he had up there with him and opened up a clear lead in the stretch. What I didn't like is the way that he sort of finished that final eighth of a mile or so. To me, it sort of makes me think that this horse doesn't really want to go very far. Whether he gets the mile or not, I don't know, especially in a race with a lot of other speed. I think it could really work against him. I don't know, maybe he's good enough. He was just one of the horses I'll say I wasn't thrilled with him in this race.
We get the class test for the 8 of Vinu Malkenu, but I really like the way this horse has shown professionalism, stalking ability in his first 2 starts. He came and got speed horses both times.
Yeah, he did.
Last time out in the funny side, he beat 2 minor next out winners. I like the gradual stretch out in distance. Timeform US has him close to that fast pace. I think he can adapt to anything.
I agree with that.
Is he good enough to take on grade 1 horses? I think in this division, yes.
We're going to find out, and he deserves the chance to do it, though. He's a horse who came from well off the pace to win his career debut, and he put in a nice run through the stretch to win that race, and then he sat closer last time, but he was also way the best. Jeremiah Englehart had said before the funny side, he was thinking about running him in the hopeful, and he decided not to and ran him in that race instead. Heading up into this race, he had him entered in another New York bred stakes race at Finger Lakes, and you know what? He scratched him this time. He's going to run in the grade 1 race, and this horse deserves the chance to run in it.
Arguably, the best bred horse in this race is the number 4, Enticed. Cross-entered in the Breeders' Futurity at Keeneland. Terrible post at Keeneland. It looks like Kieran McLaughlin's going to run here. He's by Medaglia d'Oro out of It's Tricky, and he's got a positive formulator fact for Kieran. Past 4 years, debut winners, 2-year-olds on dirt, coming back for start number 2. Again, knows how to place him. 40% of 411 ROI. The fig wasn't great for the debut, but I think he got enough out of it that he can take a big step forward.
Yeah, it was tough because he was cross-entered in the Breeders' Futurity, and you didn't really know where he was going to run. If I was sure he was going to run here, who knows? I might have made him my top pick. I'm not sure. I think he's good, and I know it wasn't necessarily a fast race. And I don't know if you agree with this or not. I thought he ran great first time out. He had a little bit of, I liked the way he got out of the gate because he was drawn down inside, but he broke. When he got cleared on the backstretch, it looked to me like he did not like taking mud in his face early on. He was climbing a little bit early, losing position. Junior Alvarado got him clear on the turn, and I loved the way that he finished this stretch. He actually closed it down very easily. He galloped out past the wire. I think this horse is good, and I'm using him in this race.
Forensic Fire is one of 2 in here, trained by Jason Service. He already has a graded stakes win under his belt, does Forensic Fire, winning the Sanford 2 starts back. Didn't love the field he beat in the Sanford, though Free Drop Billy's going to be one of the horses to beat in the Breeders' Futurity. In the hopeful, the word is he got sick a couple days before, maybe. Afterwards they found out. Good track. I mean, there are enough excuses. Maybe we can draw a line through that race. I'm not sure added distance is what he wants, but a fast pace might be.
A fast pace might be, you're right. He needs some kind of an excuse for that hopeful last time because he did not run well in that race. So we'll see if he can bounce back to a better race. The distance is fine. I think the pace, if it develops, is going to be fine for him. I guess the question is, do you think he can take another step forward here? Because I think he has to improve to beat this field.
You're really interested in the other Service horse, the 10 full of run, son of Power Broker, who just flew home in his debut. Only 5.5 at Monmouth, though.
Yeah, I know. The 5.5 to 8 in your second career start is not easy, and obviously maiden special to grade 1 is not easy either, although these grade 1s don't come up that tough anymore for 2-year-olds. I love the way this horse ran first time out, and a lot like Enticed, who got a 67 first time out. I don't care about the buyer speed figure for his race. He got outrun early in that race, but it wasn't like outrun where, well, he can't keep up and he was really working hard in that race. He just sort of settled off the pace and he flew through the stretch. Maybe he can't win the Champagne. This horse can run. I'm very interested to see what he does on Saturday.
Jason Service having a breakthrough season in 2017. Cowboy Karma won his first 2 races at Delaware for trainer Larry Jones in impressive fashion. Tried 2 turns in the sapling. He was a big favorite, but they were asking a lot. 5.5 to a mile. I don't think the trip exactly had to work out for him. He ran just fine, but it is worth noticing that the buyers have gotten a little lower as he's run.
Yeah, true enough. I don't love that about him. And obviously it's hard to love his last race. But I don't think he was beaten as a 1-2 favorite. I don't think it was a total disaster. I mean, he didn't run great, but he didn't run terrible, and I do think getting back to 1 turn could help him. His first 2 career starts are actually both really good, and I know the figure went down in his second start, but I mean, you go back and pull the replay of that race, that's just one of those races where they basically never asked him to run. I mean, he won the race in hand throughout the 5.5 furlongs, so he probably didn't run 10 points slower than he did in his debut.
Eric Guillot has 2 in here. The 3 Stronger, the 5 Master Manipulators. Stronger has already won at a 1-turn mile, 72 Beyer performance at Gulfstream.
I thought he ran pretty well winning that race. The horse that he beat not only came back to win, he came back to beat this horse's stablemate, Master Manipulator, in his next start. I thought he ran fine. I was more interested in the other horse, though, Master Manipulator, even though he's a maiden.
Late foal Master Manipulator, foaled in June, is still a maiden, but he was running at the end. That trip, boy, the way, that did not work out.
Yeah, the first start, too. They went 5 with him, and you could tell he's not a sprinter. He just got outrun in that race, but he was finishing at the end. The trip didn't work out at all for him last time. He's a half to Carolina, a really good horse who got better with racing. I think this horse can get better with racing. He's going to have to really improve here, but he's a little interesting at a big price.
Blame it on Honey, big step up in class, stretch out speed, nice pedigree, but he could be part of the pace. Let's take a look at our top selections for the Grade 1 Champagne. We're both going with Honorable Treasure, hoping for maybe a stalk and pounce journey on the outside. We both buy that 90 Beyer.
Yeah, I just really liked his maiden win up at Saratoga, and I'm hoping he can back it up in a pretty interesting Champagne.
9, 10, 4, and 5 for Mike. 9, 11, 8, and 6 for me in the Grade 1 Champagne, race number 8 at Belmont Park. It kicks off the cross-country pick 4. Mike and I will have Ticketmaker plays and analysis for that bet as well on DRFTV. Approximate post time again for the Champagne, 4:13 Eastern. Good luck.